Now that the controller is configured, we can start to work on writing the program. Let's begin by going over the function block window. This window holds all of the pieces of code or blocks that you'll use to build a program. They've been categorized by how they are used in the program. Some help the program flow, some get input or provide output, and some can even be specially created by you, which I will address later. For now, I'd like to explain how to create one of the simplest programs: how to run a single motor. This is done by simply dragging and dropping a motor from the function block window into the block programming window. The motor function block can be found within the output folder, along with any other devices that can be told to do something in the program. As soon as the motor module block is dropped onto the Boolean line, a window opens for you to select the proper motor and identify the speed and direction you'd like the motor to move. The code that was just created would work fine by itself, but normally you'll want to run more than one motor at a time in order to drive the robot. If we add another motor to the program, we can make the robot drive forward. Because this motor is oriented in the opposite direction on the robot, it needs to be set to turn in the opposite direction of the first motor. Because a task as simple as going forward is used so frequently in programs, time can be saved as well as space in your program if common tasks like this are stored as user functions. Let me show you how this works. Move to the Function Blocks window and right-click on User Functions. Select Add New Function, and a window will appear for you to create a name for your function. I'm going to choose Forward. If you were to choose a two-word name, make sure you use a underscore instead of a space in between words. Once you've given the function a name, go ahead and click OK to move on, and you'll see that the function has been created under the User Functions folder, and a new tab has been opened up for entering in the code for the function. If you ever needed to get back to the main programming portion, you could just simply click on the Main tab, which will work out well for us because we're going to go ahead and copy the code that we created earlier for our program. I'm going to do this by simply holding down the Shift key and selecting our other motor, right-clicking and choosing Cut, and moving back to our Forward tab, moving over to the Boolean line, right-clicking and choosing Paste. And this will provide us with the code that we need for making the robot move forward. We'll move back to the Main tab and move over to our new function called Forward under the User Functions folder and drag and drop it over into the Boolean line. We're not using this function to collect any data, so we're going to go over and select OK to close this window. And now our program is using a user function for any time that we want to make the robot move forward. As we look at the user function in the main window, it appears in a condensed form. If you ever needed to view the expanded form or edit the function, you could simply click on the tab to do that. Once you've created one user function, it's easy to quickly create others for tasks like moving backwards, turning, or even stopping by copying one and modifying the others. So here's my copied user function. It opens it up for me. All I need to do now is just modify it. Double click on the motors, and instead of having it move forward, I'm going to have it stop. And the same for the other motor. This one that I'll copy and modify will be for having the robot drive for a short period of time. So I'm going to call it Spurt. Notice for this function, it's already copied our previous forward function, causing the robot to move forward. All I need to do is modify it so that it will stop after it's moved forward for a short period of time. So I'm going to move to the Program Flow folder, expand it, and choose a wait block, drag and drop that below where the motors are. And I want it to drive the motors for a period of 1 second. or 1000 milliseconds, which is the default. And since that's already entered, I'm going to click OK. And after the motors have driven for a second, I need them to stop. So I can just simply go over to my user function that I've already created for stop and drag and drop it right below my wait block. And click OK to avoid this window. And now I've quickly created new functions that I can use for doing specific tasks like moving forward for a short period of time. And I've done this by copying and manipulating my original function and by also dragging and dropping in functions that I've just recently created, like the stop. And now that we see how we can add and create blocks to control the robot, let's go over how to add logic and flow to our program.